Are you trying to decide whether or not to live in the city of Seattle or the city of Bellevue? Maybe you are relocating to the Pacific Northwest, which is an amazing place, by the way, and you're trying to make this decision and you don't really know what to do. Well, I gotta tell you that the answer is not as simple as asking, are you a city person or a suburb person? It's much more complex, and we're gonna get into that in this video. I often have people calling me from out of town wanting to explore both options. They call me from San Francisco, they call me from Florida, and they're like, Matt, where should we live? Should we live in the city of Seattle? Or should we live in Bellevue or some other suburb? Today we're focusing on Bellevue, and sometimes I can help them narrow down their decisions by asking questions about their values, such as commute times, proximity to friends, access to nature, the size of the lot they want, and most importantly, their price range. So let me help you make a good decision for you or perhaps your family. Let's dive in and unpack both areas. One of the biggest draws for people moving to the Bellevue and the Seattle area is really the proximity to nature. This is a beautiful region full of mountains, lakes, rivers. Yes, we have the ocean. We pretty much have it all in spades right here. And when you fly in to Seattle, you just see this lush green and this vibrant landscape. And there is so much to do here, and you really want to be in a position where you have close proximity to nature so you can take full advantage of what this place has to offer. For example, I could be on the ski slopes from my door to the slopes in just under an hour. That is great proximity. I can go night skiing with my kids, get out of school, which we're gonna take full advantage of this year. It's gonna be phenomenal. And in Seattle, you can paddleboard on Lake Union with the city skyline in the background, or you actually can just enjoy a hike at Discovery Park, which offers sweeping views of the Puget Sound. Now, Bellevue offers a little bit of a different vibe. Yes, it's still close proximity to the mountains, to the ski slopes, but it also offers really close proximity to abundant hiking trails at Cougar Mountain, at Tiger Mountain, and that is just about 15 minutes away from your front door to access those trails. And they even have mountain biking trails. This is a place if you love the outdoors. So if you're more of a mountain person than a park person, Bellevue might just be a perfect fit. You can also enjoy kayaking in Bellevue on Lake Sammamish right there. And my favorite is wake surfing. A lot of people love water skiing. That's still a thing around here too. You can intertube, lots of boating activities here in Bellevue as well. And let's not forget the big attractions. Both cities are just a short drive from iconic destinations like Mount Rainier, the San Juan Islands, and Snoqualmie Falls. Now, Mount Rainier is on my bucket list. I have not summited yet. My dad's usually on it every year trying to summit, but I think this is the year I'm gonna kick this off my bucket list, climb that mountain with my dad. So make sure you check back in with me after this summer. All that to say is whether you're into hiking, skiing, visiting parks, nature trails, lakes, mountains, rivers, this region has all of that, and you're gonna be super blessed to live in this region and take full advantage of those activities. Now let's dive into housing. When you talk about the Seattle versus the Bellevue region, Seattle really doesn't have too many cookie cutter homes. The east side, you're gonna find a little bit more cookie cutter homes. Seattle, you're gonna find the craftsman homes. You're gonna find all the charm in neighborhoods like Queen Anne. And you're also gonna find luxury condos in South Lake Union. But in Bellevue, the market actually leans towards newer construction and upscale homes. For example, recently I worked with a client in Bellevue who was getting lots of letters and phone calls from builders wanting to tear down their old single-story home and rebuild a nice new modern home. And I looked at these letters and I saw what they were offering this woman, and I said, you know what, we can do better than this. And we put this house on the market. We exposed it to hundreds of micro builders, and they saw it and this home went for multiple offers well above what the builders were asking for. And the reason why that lot was so attractive is because it sat in a very sought after neighborhood in Bellevue. And if you tear that house down and build a new one, that new construction home will sell for over $5 million. And so that's what's happening in Bellevue right now. There's lots of modern homes being built that are on the pricier end that start at around $5 million for a new construction home. So if you're looking for luxury or perhaps bigger lot sizes, Bellevue might be the place for you. But we really need to talk about lifestyle of both communities now, the Seattle versus the Bellevue area. So let's dive into that. For Seattle, I would say that Seattle has this kind of easygoing vibe. It's just part of the culture there in Seattle. Part of it's because the arts and the culture are just top notch with plenty of museums and theaters and live music venues. And one of my favorite spots in Seattle is Storyville. It's an amazing coffee shop right in Pike Place Market. It overlooks the water there. You can look at the Puget Sound while sipping your coffee. And check this out, this coffee shop gives out free chocolate cake at some random time in the day. And if you're one of the lucky few, when you're there at the right moment, you're not only gonna get a great coffee, but you're gonna get a great piece of cake. So make sure you go check out Storyville. Also, you can go down the stairs from Storyville, check out the people throwing fish. That's pretty iconic right there. And maybe even buy some fish for dinner, cook that up. That's gonna be a great visit to the city of Seattle just to see if this is the right place for you. And when you're done at Pike Place Market, you could head over to Bellevue, which we're gonna talk about here in a minute. But first, I wanna talk a little bit more about Seattle. When I wanna unwind, I often go to this place called Discovery Park. It's a huge park with expansive ocean views. This is my go-to spot to relax when I wanna bring the dog, when I wanna hike. This is an awesome spot to go. And then there's Climate Pledge Arena, where you can watch the Kraken, the ice hockey team here. You can catch an awesome concert. And hopefully one day in Climate Pledge Arena, the Sonics will return, and oh, how glorious of a day that'll be to have basketball, professional basketball, back in Seattle. Now, the nice thing about Bellevue is that Bellevue has a really clean downtown area with lots of amazing shopping, and it's becoming quite the night scene as well, and the go-to place to have similar things that Seattle has to offer. They have an awesome movie theater. Bellevue Square is right there. Some really high-end shopping surrounded by great parks as well. Now back to the age-old question, are you a city person or are you a suburb person? And I still don't think it's quite that simple. Seattle neighborhoods like Magnolia, Laurelhurst, and Wedgwood, they offer this suburban feel that you might find in the suburbs. They have tree-lined streets, spacious yards, and a growing sense of community. And that really keeps you close to the vibrancy of the city. And I just find that most people that are relocating to this region from out of town, think of Seattle maybe similar to Brooklyn or something like that, where you're really not gonna find this suburban feel in the city, but Seattle has that in spades. There's decent sized lots, there's great houses, not as big as lots as you're gonna find in Bellevue, but still a reasonable size. If land isn't a high priority, and you're just looking for a spot for the trampoline or the hot tub or a great entertaining space to maybe throw the ball a little bit, actually Seattle has those options. But these aren't just lifestyle choices. They often come down to priorities. Do you want the charm and the character that a city has to offer? Or do you want this polished convenience that the suburbs have to offer, with often slightly bigger lot sizes and homes? And if schools are a part of the equation, well, then this gets even a bit more nuanced. So let's dive into schools right now. If you're moving with kids, then school might be a top priority. Now, according to niche.com, out of the 25 school districts across the region here, Bellevue ranks as the #1 school district. So that would be something to consider if you want to raise kids and have a fantastic school district. Now, I will say rankings often don't tell the whole story, but it is one indicator of health in a school district. Now, the city of Seattle is pretty large, so it's hit and miss on if that number 12 ranking stands up between the whole city. I think some areas in Seattle, like in Queen Anne and Laurelhurst, where the rankings of schools would be much higher than that. So you should probably look at niche.com, find out more information about the schools to see if that really should weigh into your choice of whether or not you should move to Bellevue or Seattle. Really, you can't go wrong with any of the schools in Bellevue, but I will tell you that most of my out-of-town clients want their kids either in Newport High School or Bellevue High School. Now, again, take this with a grain of salt because rankings do not tell the whole story. You really need to get the flavor and the feel of each neighborhood and work with your realtor on discussing what your unique needs are for your kids. So message me, call me, and I would be glad to help you with that. If you are new to my channel, my name is Matthew Chapman, and I'm a local realtor here in the city of Seattle. I've been doing real estate for a number of years. My family's been in real estate for over 30 years, and I'm in the top 1% of all realtors here. And I help people like you relocate to this region. So if you're considering a move to Seattle, don't hesitate to give me a call or shoot me a text. And I would love to help you discern if moving to Seattle or Bellevue is your next right thing. Now let's talk about commuting. So traffic, it's never a fun thing. We want to avoid it at all costs. And if you're living in the city of Seattle, working in Seattle's tech hub, living in the city often means shorter commutes, but potentially dealing with traffic and parking challenges. Now recently, Amazon announced that they are going to require all of their employees to be in the office 5 days a week. And that is a big change because it went from 2 days to 3 days to now 5 days a week. Amazon is requiring their workers, their employees to be in the office. And the question is other companies going to follow suit? And I think the answer is over time, yes. So commute is going to be even a bigger deal for most of the people relocating to this region. And that's going to have lots of impacts on traffic, commute time, even housing costs. So if that's true, you might want to consider living closer to your work so that you can avoid those long commute times. Now, you should know what the average commute time is so that you can make a good decision. So on average, during rush hour, the commute from Bellevue to Seattle often takes 30 to 45 minutes. Now that can easily go into an hour to an hour and a half on the really, really bad days. And the reverse commute is slightly shorter. It's about 25 to 35 minutes if you're taking that reverse commute. The total cost of living in the Bellevue and Seattle area is also a factor. And I'll just say it's much higher than the national average. And you know the old saying, you get what you pay for? That's kind of like that. It's kind of true here because you're getting a lot of beauty, you're getting the proximity to nature, all the things, and you're in the hub of the tech sector. Let's face it, there are more employment opportunities here, and that's what is causing people to move to this region, and it just costs more to live here as a result. So let's talk about groceries. Groceries and dining out, they're actually fairly comparable to the two cities, though Bellevue leans slightly higher due to its upscale restaurant scene. And utilities costs, they tend to be about the same, averaging $200 to $250 a month for electricity, water, and gas. Now, transportation cost, if you're driving your car, the cost of transportation can vary. Yes, you have your gas, and that doesn't change from city to city. But what does change is the tolls. There is a toll across 520. There's some other tolls, and on average, you're gonna pay about $250 to $500 a month if you're commuting across one of those tolls. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So Bellevue or Seattle, what's the answer? I think you've heard a lot of great things about both regions, but I think it's really, for most people, it's gonna come down to affordability. What is the more affordable option? Now, the average home price in Seattle is gonna be about $1 million. And some of those neighborhoods, you're gonna be in the 1.3 to 1.6 range, but while Bellevue, the average cost for a home, a single family home, mind you, in Bellevue is gonna be about $2.3 million. But if you're looking at Ennetai or West Bellevue or Clyde Hill, your average home price is going to be around $3 to $3.3 million and easily go into the 5 to the 6, depending on the size of the house that you want. So if affordability is a concern for you, I know housing is the biggest cost. That's definitely going to be a factor. But if you could afford both neighborhoods, then what do you choose? Then what do you want? Well, then I think it comes down to, do you like that cleanliness and the polished feel of the suburbs? Or do you like the easygoing vibe of the city full of the arts and the cultural history there and the walkability and all the things that a city has to offer? I think that could play a big part in your decision-making process. The other factors that are going to determine whether or not you live in Seattle or Bellevue, we mentioned, would be the schools, if schools are a priority, and also the commute time. So look into those options, but really, if I'm honest with you guys, besides the affordability, I think every person and every family just has different needs. And so I encourage you to message me and I could bring you through a process that really helps you determine which city is best for you. Should you live in Bellevue or should you live in Seattle? There's lots of nuances there and I'd love to be your guide. So I'm Matthew Chapman. If you have questions about this video or other videos that I've done, or you just want to get more information about the Seattle real estate market, or you want to relocate to this region, it's never too early to plan. Just message me, text me. My team and I would love to be in contact with you. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you press that notification bell so you're going to get notified of all future videos. I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.